Welcome back to Times Square. It's That Kevin Show, and glad to have you with us. My next guest is someone that has been helping people figure out how to protect what they have earned for the last 30 years or so. In fact, one of the real treasures that I'm sure that he appreciates about his life is that he is a lifesaver in many respects for families financially. He is the CEO of Swiss America, and we are very, very thankful for Swiss America's partnership in this broadcast endeavor. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome Dean Heskin. Hello, Dean.
Hey, Kevin, how are you?
I'm doing well. Appreciate you being with us.
Great to be here.
I've been telling my listeners about the war on cash, and I will never forget the first time I heard that expression. And I thought, what a ridiculously stupid idea for the government to try to keep cash from its citizens and trying to keep them from spending the money that they have rightfully earned. And then I started looking into it, Dean, and I realized it wasn't hyperbolic. It wasn't anything else. It's a real thing. What's going on?
It is a real thing. And unfortunately, it's become it's a very real progressive thing, meaning that day by day, it seems, Kevin, that more and more of our personal liberties, not just as it pertains to cash, but just in life, are kind of eroding away. But as it does pertain to cash, the privacies we have there, the abilities we have to use our money as we deem or choose to use our money, they're quickly going away. And we put this report out originally, I should know, but I don't know off the top of my head, roughly 10 years ago. And certainly we modified or revised it over time. But it has been the Secret War on Cash, this report that we offer to people. It has been the most sought after, requested report we've ever done in the history of our company, which is over 40 years now. And I think part of the reason for the success is, like, we don't have to convince people or tell them, why this is a real thing, why that you're losing your liberty to your cash, because they are living it every day. And it's coming from in all different shapes and sizes and many different angles, meaning just the overall ability to use cash. A lot of places you can't even do that any longer. The changes and the restrictions that we've seen in the banking industry, especially in the course of the last year. If you follow that at all in our podcast that we do, we've been discussing that very extensively, where people have had their bank accounts literally just arbitrarily frozen, no explanation from the bank. And in some cases, in fact, there was one story in particular we highlighted. This individual had several hundred, I believe it was $300,000 or $400,000 of their money a year into it now, still no explanation, no access to their funds. And so why this is happening, depending on what side of the political spectrum you might fall, some people just say it's the way things are going, and there's probably some truth to that. Other people say this is the way they're ushering in just stronger financial governmental control in literally all areas of our life, not least of which being our finances.
There's so much that I want to bounce off of you in the next few minutes, but we could spend the next several hours dissecting some of this. But when you talk about the government freezing accounts, my listeners and viewers will remember and know that when Joe Biden came into office, there was all this discussion about wanting to make sure that they now monitored things that they had not previously monitored. For instance, Venmo and PayPal accounts. They wanted to crack down on people that work in the quote unquote gig economy, where if you're a musician or a babysitter or a plumber and you need to go do individual jobs and you get paid electronically, they want to snoop on all of the activity that you're doing, not trusting you to report what your activity is and to pay it on your tax form. They want to see it transaction by transaction. I've known about for years since it wasn't Sarbanes-Oxley. I'm trying to remember the legislation. It was one that was not disassociated, but kind of linked to Sarbanes-Oxley, but it had to do with regulatory reform during the Obama years. And they approved a thing called the bail-in, where they could reach into your account, take money out, and just put a government IOU in its place. Any account you had that was electronic, they can do that. They can still do that. That is still the law of the land. as we sit here today. So when you start talking about government wanting to do away with one area of life that we feel like we have some sense of sanity and control over, and that is our own money. And if I want to store suitcases of it under my bed, I should have the right to do it. I earned it. It's something that I worked very hard for. So for people that are just hearing this for the first time and kind of becoming more aware and kind of associated with what we're talking about, why is this such something that you guys are so concerned about? And obviously you've had thousands of people, millions of people ask for this report. I want my people to get it as well, but why is it so vital?
Well, it's the report itself is vital. Excuse me for the crud I was mentioning. As the old expression goes, forewarned is forearmed. And really, it's easy enough in life to just kind of idly sit back and watch things take place around you, because doing nothing is obviously easier than doing something. But if you start to really take a look and pay attention to some of these changes, some of these developments, what the Secret War on Cash report does is it highlights real life situations that are occurring each and every day. And, the changes, the functionality of banks our entire life was very simple and very practical, meaning we earned money. We took some of that money that we didn't need to use. We'd give it to the bank. They would hold it for safekeeping. Maybe if we were lucky, paid us, a nominal return on that money. And at whatever point we needed to go get that money, we would have access to it. That dynamic has done a complete 180, and a lot of it in the last 12 months. Meaning, as we just mentioned a moment ago, you have now them coming in and just seizing accounts, freezing accounts. Many cases, there is no explanation given. Now, in times past, banks would close an account or seize funds, if you will, due to perceived or presumed illegal activity, drug dealing, whatever illicit.
But there would usually have to be some sort of legal precedent for that, right? So there had to be a warrant, a judge had to issue a ruling. There had to be something that warned you that they were going to do this. But everyday average citizens, Dean?
Right. And we've, in particular, there's business owners who have been using the same bank for the same functionality for decades. And now all of a sudden they go put a cash deposit in, and that bank again just somewhat arbitrarily closes that account, and now they no longer have access to those funds. And the changes, why they're occurring, that's the $1 million question.
Yeah.
And,
okay, hold that thought just for a second, because we're going to take a break and come back with Dean Heskin, who is the CEO of Swiss America. If you're not familiar with Swiss America, they are the industry, literally gold standard for people that deal in precious metals. But if you don't get anything else out of this, I want you to go get this report, The Secret War on Cash. They will send it to you absolutely free. The number is 800-289-2646, 1-800-289-2646. When we come back, what difference does it all make? Stay here.
Stick around for more on